I was supposed to document a week of my life before I got laid off, but it is November 3 now, and it's the first Monday that I am spending unemployed, finally. But I think it's going really well. I think that I'm really enjoying this because I finally get to choose exactly what I want to do. I'm organizing three art events. One is kind of an art fair organized by Critical Mass, which is an independent organization in Hong Kong, hosting events specifically for creatives. It's going to be held on officially on the 8th of November. And then there's also an event on the 23rd of November, which is a Christmas market where I'm gonna be selling my art prints and my art and my postcards, all that stuff. So I've done this Christmas market last year and it honestly didn't go well. But it was just good to just show up and be there. But we'll see what happens. And then on the 30th of November, I'm hosting a workshop, a sustainable art workshop. So I'm kind of experimenting with this idea of using workshops as a way to practice art. And so people do performance art, people do, like, in the realm of performance art, there's always so many different ways to do performance art. I mean, Marina Abramovich, she's primary example of that. There's so many other examples. I'm kind of experimenting with the concept of art workshops as a way to perform art or practice art. Because usually what I usually do is I just paint. I My main medium of making art is painting, whether it's traditional or digital painting, and it's always been a solo work. Whether it is painting a series of several works of art, it's always been solo. And so I'm trying to experiment with this idea of workshops, art workshops, as a way to create and collaborate with other people, because I think making art seems to be such an exclusive thing of, like, oh, you have to be an artist, you have to label yourself as an artist, you have to label yourself as, like, oh, I paint, or I'm a filmmaker or a music maker, or even worse, you have to be able to earn money to call yourself as an artist. You have to be able to at least have a bunch of exhibitions or sales or events, which is such a classist mentality. I don't think that art is that way. I think that art is something that people do no matter what stage of life they are in. It does not matter what stage of life you're in, what income bracket you're in, whether you make sales or not. I think that the only prerequisite to making art is having ideas, having concepts, of having visual imaginations, having thoughts. That's the only prerequisite. And the only thing you need to be able to have ideas is to be a human being, to be someone with thoughts. I think that's the only thing you need to create. And I think that there is so much potential in collaborating with people. I think there's so much potential. And I think that this idea of me hosting workshops kind of just started as, like, I don't know, I just wanted to try something new. I have hosted workshops before, I have taught art before, but I haven't really hosted one on my own. And it started as something I just wanted since a year ago. I've been thinking about this idea since a year ago. It started as, like, oh, I want to be able to just host a workshop one day. That's something I just wanted to achieve. But the more I brainstormed, the more I realized this concept of workshop is a very interesting tool in creating art. It's a very interesting bridge to collaborate with other artists. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm kind of just brainstorming on my own as I'm filming this, because I think now that I have all this time to create, all this time to talk and document what I'm doing in my current life, because I think as an artist, people always think of art versus life. What is life versus what is creating art? And I think my art is directly impacted by my life, my stage of life at the moment. Even though there are a lot of artists who try to create in a very non personal way, they want to evoke emotions, they want to evoke questions, and they try their best to separate their own personal experiences with their art. And there's a lot of artists who try to do that. But I think that even though we try not to talk about our personal lives in our creation, our personal lives do directly impact how we create. In this stage of life right now, I really want to be able to use the idea of workshops as a medium of creation and incorporate the idea of sustainability, not just buying new things to be able to create. Not everybody has the privilege of buying new things to create. We can always use anything that we have in our day to day to create. And it's also I really want to explore the idea of everyday life, using everyday materials to create something, and then using that piece of art in your everyday life creates a very special relationship with that piece of art. Because, first of all, you're creating to use it in your everyday life. You're not creating to sell it, to make a profit. You're creating to make your life. Like, for example, if you paint your old t shirt, you paint your old pair of jeans, you're not going to sell unless you want to. But the aim of the workshop is to use your everyday objects that you use in life and reinvent it into your own art. Hopefully, develop your own art style and use it day to day. And then just the idea of using it every single day, something that you created, an art piece that you created, using it every single day creates a certain kind of relationship with that piece of art that you created by yourself. I think there's something so special about that, especially because it kind of encourages the idea of allowing it to, first of all, be rebirthed into something super creative that you've made and then wear off again. Kind of like a second life, creating a second life to that piece of object, and then developing a relationship by using it every single day with that piece of object, which is now an art piece, and then allowing it to kind of let itself go in a very natural, very slow, natural way, instead of just throwing something, buying something new, and then throwing it away again once you've been tired of it or it wears off, and then buying it and buying it and buying a new thing again and again and again. It's a very consumerist lifestyle, right? And then allowing it to fill all these landfills that go nowhere but the oceans and wherever else they throw away these landfills. It's also a way to build a relationship with anyone, right? You're spending time with them day to day, and then the relationship grows, and maybe it keeps growing, and then in the end, because all relationships end, because we are human and we all die at some point. I think there's something special with that in practicing this kind of workshop that allows you to create something new with something old and then build a relationship with that, and then build a new relationship with that because you've created something new, and then allow it to wear off. I think it's also like there's a parallel in that kind of practice with our own human relationships, and I think that's art. I mean, that's art, and that's why I really found myself really passionate in building this art workshop, and I cannot wait to see it come to life. I really can't wait. currently, as I'm explaining to you this art workshop, I'm kind of just thinking on my own as well. This is something I've thought in my head. I haven't really explained fully to anyone. This is the first time I'm really speaking it out loud. But really, this is the point of it. This is the point of the art workshop. This is really the perfect time for me to be able to see it come to life. There's so much good impact that it can bring. I have to do it. I really have to do it. One of the rare moments where it's like I have an idea in my head and I see what good it can bring artistically, environmentally, socially, culturally, that I have to do it. I have to keep explaining this to people. I have to keep letting people know, even though some people may not even understand. But it does not matter because I understand it. And if I understand it, someone else will. So I have to keep talking about it.